Namaskar. Hello and welcome to PGurus channel. I'm your host Sree Iyer. The Winter Olympics are just around the corner in China, and they are trying to combat their emerging Omicron problem. And there's a lot of interesting updates from that, as well as what is happening in the Global Economic Forum that is taking place at Davos. And to hear all about this, let's welcome our guest, Elmer Yuen. Elmer, namaskar and welcome to PGurus channel.
Nice to see you again. Thank you for inviting me.
My pleasure, my friend. And Elmer, can tell us a little bit about what is happening at Davos. I hear that Xi Jinping was the keynote speaker, online, of course. Everything was online. There was a teleprompter malfunction when it came to Prime Minister Modi's speech. He kind of abruptly cut it off and didn't go after that. But what do you hear from Davos?
I see. Davos, sorry, I don't follow them very closely because this is the Mecca. This is the Mecca of investment bankers, all right, of Wall Street. And not only Wall Street, global. In Europe, the Deutsche Bank and then Credit Suisse, UBS and Japan, they all come. Hong Kong, everybody come. So, all these great MBAs from Ivy Leagues, all right? So anyway, and they worship Xi Jinping because in the last 20 to 30 years, all the money they make mostly is from business, from China, right? And China has put so many companies on IPO and so many acquisition and merger and also bonds for China. So I would say, more than half of the profit with these investment bankers somehow is related to China, which is huge. I remember once I have another venture, I was trying to raise some money from Wall Street. They said, don't come here, go to China. They have all the money. Seriously, because they really had all the money through import-export, through IPO and loans and everything. And so these Davos people, which Davos represent investment banker, let's put it that way. And when Xi Jinping speaks, it's like God speaks, seriously. And I have no surprise whatsoever. They shut down your prime minister's speech. They do it all the time. I mean, for them, there is no such thing as integrity. I mean, in your country, of course, you're religious and spiritual, and people's integrity is very important. So is our ancient Chinese, classic Chinese culture. And how can now this problem with communism, they basically do away with all the old morality or ethics and just apply based on one thing, power and money. So this Davos is really the pyramid, or really, I mean, if you I'm sure you guys understand religion. This is really the devil's meeting in Switzerland, all right? The devil's meetings of the devils. And you trust me, seriously, cannot. When my eldest daughter graduated from MBA, all that stuff from Ivy League, I told her, don't ever go into these people. They recruit the brightest, best educated. And what they're doing, robbery. They like robbery. This is what it is. Honest to God. So luckily, India is not that much involved with investment banking. Of course, you have certain, but you didn't go to that degree of robbery. It's daylight robbery. So I'm glad that now things are changing, of course. Since Xi Jinping come to power, these guys are not making any money. So what's happening is all these bankers together with the deep state in China, okay? Xi Jinping is like Donald Trump, is somebody from outside, all right? Xi Jinping does not belong to the deep state in China. So there's deep states who's been making money for the last 30 years and working with Wall Street. So they are ganging up together to get rid of Xi Jinping because Xi Jinping is bad for business. And this is happening. Let me tell you, it's not, and it's supposed to reach its climax this year. before the 20th so-called General Assembly. The communists have their General Assembly. I mean, the whole country all the communist people would attend. It's called the 20th. Every 5 years they have one. So what happened is Xi Jinping is struggling. Don't think he's all powerful. He's struggling. Very similar to Biden. Honest to God, the two presidents have very, very similar situation right now, all in deep trouble. All right, you know the Biden poll is already down to something like 33%, and Xi Jinping, to be honest with you, is lower than that. But of course, there's no honest poll in China. So right now in China, you have to listen. Of course, the Winter Olympic is coming up on the 4th of February, and I'm going to London to go to demonstrate in front of the embassy in London. I'm going on the 3rd. So anyway, we call two O's right now. Two O's. What is two? Olympic start with an O, right? Omicron start with an O, and the two O's are closely related, very closely related. So in normal sense, they should have postponed the Olympics for 1 year, like Japan did, and see how the pandemics or the COVID is coming along. Now, just about 1 week ago, they had the Omicron hit Tianjin. Tianjin is a city very close to Beijing. Going by a high-speed train is a matter of 15 minutes. That's how close it is. They have this, high bullet trains, right? And this is like a sister city for Beijing. So it started about 10 days ago, all right? And then now it's happening in Beijing. The Omicron finally reached Omicron, and we all know how contagious this Omicron is. And like 2 weeks later, it's probably the peak, right? This Omicron, if you started like the United States now, over 1 million cases a day. All right, this is how bad it is. So Chinese policy is to have zero tolerance, meaning they do not even want one case to happen. So they're willing to stop the whole city, freeze the whole city, to pick out those 1 or 2 cases, all right? And then they fix a day. Xi Jinping fixed a day when you are supposed to be zero. So it means whoever, let's say 30, 40,000 infected, they couldn't clean them out, all right? You know what happened? They built these quarantine hospitals, all right? Temporary hospitals, and house those people. And they claim they have succeeded in going to zero. This is, communism lie, which is they do it all the time. So this is a very interesting situation. Beijing has about 5 cases. That's of maybe 10, 15 minutes ago before I come to your broadcast. So what happened? So as you know, I mean, India, you have a big government, right? Whenever you have big government, people blame, must find something to blame. How do you get these 5 cases? So the latest is called cold fusion. You know about cold fusion. Normally, virus is passed by people, and people are hot. All right. They invented this new term. They identified there were parcels from Canada. All right. Air parcels from Canada going through Hong Kong, and the people who received the parcel caught, which parcel is cold, right? They caught the Omicron. I mean, this is how elaborate, and this is a national effort to blame the virus on North America. They would blame America because America has so many scientists, all right? And so they didn't want to wake up America, but they blame it on Canada, which is easy to bully. All right, Canadians are easy bully. Remember, they detained 2 guys, and then finally they swapped with the hostage. So this has become big joke. It's called the cold fusion or cold infection, and now they have something to blame. So everything in China is political. All right, they don't care if you believe it or not, as long as the people believe. Their own people believe. The Canadian, they are trying, America, led by the Americans, are trying to ruin us, ruin our Olympics again. All right? This is very easy to shift the blame to an outside enemy, foreign enemy. Very easy. All right? This is exactly what's happening. So, and let me tell you, there are going to be more than 10,000 foreigners coming to the Winter Olympics. I don't know exact figure, but 10,000 easily. Sportsmen, there are doctors,
Judges,
trainers, judges, and also what about the newspaper, right? The media. It'll be
media,
huge
right.
media coverage. So 10,000 may be conservative. And then finally, they're going to blame it on them for bringing in the Omicron. And to be honest with you, China is not a small country. What's wrong with them? Their virus are becoming Omicron. You don't have to go to South Africa and come back. China has a big enough population to have their own, what do you call it? The change of the sequence.
Morphing.
Yeah.
Morphing into a variant.
Yeah. So they have their own. So of course, but they love to blame somebody else. And like when it started, they say it came from US. The Wuhan virus came from US. I mean, these guys are so cute. Really good. The way they lie. You can write 2 books, not one, on these Chinese lies. So anyway, this is what's happening. And let me tell you, let's go to a deeper stage. All right. We all understand you cannot develop vaccine in a matter of months. It would be a miracle, whether it's Western company or Chinese company. The Chinese start gain of function from as early as 2015 on this virus. This virus was discovered in China 2003 with the first SARS. All right, and then they keep on finding the bats and try to use gain of function to improve the infection contagiousness and the toxicity. So what happened is China really has a 5-year lead in developing the vaccine. When you make the gain of function, you develop your vaccine at the same time, which is normal. You don't need a genius to tell you that. You normally develop the both at the same time. So China has actually a 5-year lead on the vaccine. So I remember in the 2019 when they first get infected, the politicians, the high-up politicians, they already got vaccine. It's already set. So they already have vaccine. All right. But of course, the Chinese vaccine is very poor quality. And that is not the issue. The issue is, as you know, the Chinese labs, those P3, P4 labs, are heavily financed by US and the rest of the world, Canada, US, and Europeans. So in exchange for financing, they gave the information back to the states. All right, back to those people finance them, and those people, I mean, I'm to be honest, coordinated by Fauci, Dr. Fauci. All right, he is the coordinator. That's why he knows so much. Nobody can replace him. So they have been developing vaccine on their own, not from the day that Donald Trump said go. They've been doing all kinds of research on their own on this coronavirus. Also much earlier, all right, than 2019. So as a result, they've been all developing. Because what? This is a huge business. This is probably the biggest business, much, much bigger than the iPhone, the iPhone business, seriously. So almost every person have to take almost 1 shot a year. Now now already they start talking about the fourth booster. So what happened is this is in the pharmaceutical layer, it has been a conspiracy. All right, call me whatever you want. It has been a conspiracy to develop vaccine, and the healing medicine to them is secondary. Now finally it's coming out for testing, but vaccine they've been doing for years because that is the biggest business in the world, and both for China and for all these, European American pharmaceutical companies. Of course, China has bad quality and poor technology. Now you can really see the difference of Chinese technology and the Western technology, the comparison. I mean, their vaccine is, at the beginning, looks pretty good. The first and second shot looks pretty good. Maybe maybe the foreign ones, something we're talking about 90%, and the Chinese ones was talking about 40%. But then it comes to these Delta and Omicron. The Chinese vaccines effectiveness have gone down to under 10%, right? And basically, the whole China basically has no protection. You understand? India, you might have a lot of herd immunity and all that stuff, all right? Infection and so on. But you have protection. That's why your people are not that worried about this whole thing. But China, the reason they have to use zero tolerance, because they have no protection. Their vaccine is no good. It's like taking a placebo. It's only psychologically you feel safe. This is the way it is. So the reality is they have to exercise this zero tolerance while the rest of the world, all right, including India, USA, and every country, England, for instance, we have all gone to no big deal. Let's go herd immunity. And then less people are dying. So let's live with the virus. Let's live with it, which is great scientists. And this kind of zero tolerance, it's not even scientific. It's very, very communistic. And also because their vaccine doesn't work, they don't have a choice. They do not want to lose face and import the Western vaccine. They may import a little bit just for the Beijing communist leaders, but not for the public. They can't afford it. They may go bankrupt. Right? Just that. So this vaccine is a huge, huge business worldwide. And I don't know why. I don't know why all the Western media refuse to talk about it. Of course, if you put it on your YouTube, you get banned. You get the yellow label, right? And they are all in this together. These guys are all in this together. So many people are making huge money, not only the vaccine, but the testers. All this testing, the mouth and the nose testing, all made in China. Do you know how much money that's involved? This costs less than $1. I mean, you ask your friend, pharmaceutical friends in India, less than $1. All right, maybe even as low as 20-30 cents for one kit. All right, but then they make so much money. I do it. I've done 100 pieces because of my traveling. Nothing under $100 per test. You know the RPC or whatever it is. There are two tests.
Right.
Yeah, and it's nothing is below 100. Sometimes as high as $200 to $300 per test.
Right.
Do you know how much a business interest is involved now in USA? You don't know yet. You've been away for a few weeks. These companies gave you half a dozen or a dozen testers. So you do tests every day before you come to work. This is what it becomes. So there's a huge shortage, even for test kits. So you know how much money China is making, or all the middlemen are making, all right?
Right.
From something like 20-30 cents, it suddenly become $100. You know how much profit, and nobody dares to talk about it. Sree, let me tell you, all right? The communists have the guts to lie, but the Western world have no guts to tell the truth. Please, this is what's that. The politicians, the media, they have no guts to tell the truth. And no guts is only what my description. I mean, some of them, they don't want to lose face, all right? And then they don't want to piss off the communists. So this is the unbelievable situation. What I'm telling you now, seriously, you think about it, whether my statement makes sense. The communists lie every inch of the way, in every facet. And we know that now it's being reviewed, right? Their statistics, their exchange rate, nothing is believable. And they do it for political purpose. And what has the Western world do to tell the truth? Nobody talk about the origin of the virus anymore. Suddenly, all these things get quiet. Nobody talk about it. And you know the damage, the whole world. Donald Trump said it without exaggeration. Easily, $50 trillion of global damage happened by this, and nobody talk about it. So this money where come from? From people, from the taxpayer. And these politicians supposed to represent the taxpayer and get the wrongdoers to pay. Nobody talk about it. All right, they keep on printing money. and so-called share with everybody. And I don't know how much of that money gone into people's pocket, paying how much they are paying for each testers, and how much they are paying for each so-called vaccine dosage. They don't publish it, but secretly, they are making tons and tons of money. So Sree, I'm serious. I'm very angry. All right. I'm angry at this whole thing, and these politicians are even worse than the Davos.
Absolutely, I can feel your pain, Elmer. And so the Olympics will cause a challenge for China to manage. Do you think they might take a call this week and say that we are pushing it out by a year? Because now people will start coming in already. They should be already in, right? They have to do a lot of trial runs.
As long as they can blame it on the West, doesn't matter. All right. So they are the innocent party. They are the innocent party. The West come back with real people and parcels and air parcels and infect our country. This is the story they're going to give. You already have the beginning of the story. You know what's going to happen. They will hold it. They are going to hold it because Xi Jinping wants to have a reputation. It's going to be held. But then they're going to blame it. So this is something we don't really understand. I said, how could you hold it with so much trouble? They have their solution that you and I have not even thought about. They may use it to spring on the rest of the world and gain points. That's the difference between us and them. You know, I happen to live with these guys. I know how deceitful and how crooked these guys are. But people like you and I, when we deal with honesty, we deal with honor, ethics, morality, and so on. So my problem, again, I must repeat it so many times, that we use a different standard. We should not use our standard to judge them. We should use their standard to judge them. So I'm being honest. Please, you have a voice, or even though you're not a huge voice, but you have a voice. You must wake up. At least your Indian audience and your Indian politicians, at politicians and media, because they are not doing their job.
Yes, indeed, and your voice is being heard loud and clear. Elmer, take care, my friend, and we'll be back again very shortly before the Olympics begin, probably, to talk about how things are playing out in China. Thank you once again, Elmer. Namaskar.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Bye-bye.